Hey there, I'm Eternal. I'm an object show fan who's on a journey to know everything about object shows. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome in to Object Catchup. This is where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they're new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, for today, we are doing a classic keep up episode, just watching the shows from previously covered creators, which have released new episodes or even some new things here and there. We're just keeping it up. This will have a little bit more of the main ones that we didn't cover in the one that we had a couple days ago, where I was kind of just trying to not fall too far behind. This one will cover a couple of the more main things. Anything that is released in the last 3 days, it will not get covered here, but we'll see what we can do, we'll see what we can reach, we'll see what order we're gonna do it in, and we are going to hope for the best, alright? You know the deal? Let's jump into it. We're gonna start over by jumping over to Pancake Animates' channel, because episode 1B of the Battle for Rafflesia released. As a reminder, Battle for Rafflesia is the Malaysian object show, which garnered relatively heavy notoriety around the Malaysian community and even maybe a little bit elsewhere as well, having picked up 44,000 views for its episode 1A. Now, what happened in that episode 1A? We ended up having our host, which what was your name? Your name was Alif, right? Yes, Alif was here and was hosting, and we ended up having them show off to try to convince the contestants to join their show. The Rafflesia flower, which pretty much allows you to do anything you would possibly want to do, right? So it has a million abilities. It's an OP flower, alright? And with this power, you have all the contestants fighting for it. While we did that, there was no intro, and it was much more of kind of like a pilot concept to see if people were interested. People are interested. Let's see how it does in its first serious episode, to triple the length of episode 1A. Episode 1B, I'll try my best. Nenek si Bongkok Tiga. Go. Okay, that is episode 1B of Battle for Rafflesia. Okay, hold on. Before I talk about anything, just because, of course, it's the last thing that I saw in the episode, yo, what the hell, that outro is sick as fuck. Actually showing off the silhouettes of all of the Arabic letter characters that might show, and then it's we've discovered a couple of them, and they're showing, but the other one, they might show up sometime. But they're there, it's kind of mysteries, right? So we see that Hamza shows up alongside Alif, but the other ones are not there. Okay, that's cool, and it also just looks sick. Okay, that part's fire. But anyways, so that is episode 1B of Battle for Rafflesia. Quite an expansion on that episode 1A. Because that episode 1A, it was very much so, right, kind of just the experimentation of the concept, right? It was just kind of yo, I don't know if this is a thing, but let's try it. And then, Malaysia community, I was yo, what's good? Let's do this shit. So we are here. We've got the people for it. We got the manpower. Now we got to kind of see what we're developing this show to be. And what are we developing this show to be? Well, we seem to be developing Battle for Rafflesia to be this kind of relatively easy animation, but relatively stylized show that focuses heavily on comedy and just generally being funny, while not currently holding too many keys to seriousness, and just kind of being a humorous experience. Because multiple times when I was watching this show, I was just looking in awe at whatever the hell was going on the screen. I was what the hell? This show is so random. This show, it just does jokes, dude. It does jokes, and it's supposed to be fun, and that's cool, right? I enjoy that. I think that it's nice, having a little fun seeing in a different language, and yeah. So, in terms of the technical elements, voice acting is of course the one. Voice acting and writing are the ones which I can't really judge properly, right? Because I do not speak Malay. However, there's just that type of deal where I can still grasp it, I would say, from section to section. I would say voice acting is pretty good. Again, I feel a lot of that emotion in these characters. Maybe sometimes, again, it's really difficult to tell. Maybe sometimes, I don't know if I'm feeling necessarily the like back and forth working very well with one character and another character, but I don't value that opinion because just I don't know, right? I don't know, right? Microphone qualities, I would say. They are certainly different. However, they end up a kind of they get mixed off pretty well. Audio mixing is actually solid. I would actually like to say audio mixing is done well for this. I do think that is a pretty strong point. The songs are not necessarily too original, the Ken McLeod's, but it's mixed pretty well. It stops it when it wants to do a gag that focuses on timing, right, and then it picks the song back up again, right. So that's all pretty good. In terms of writing of the episode, as I say, it's an episode mainly focused on comedy. It's got itself an interesting challenge, but we'll talk that in the one by one progression of it. But yeah, speaking of which, let's jump into that. So as we start over, we end up getting the information that English subtitles are available. Let's go. A shout out to that. And we end up starting off here at the upside. What is this? I originally thought this was like an upside down house. I'm gonna be for real. No, that's not. Dude, that looks so much like an upside down house. No, think about it. I don't know what it is about this house that gives me upside down vibes. But no, it's not supposed to be an upside down vibe. Just because that part on the right looks like it's the connector. But no, it's just like a garage. But yeah, it's the Queen's birthday, and nearly everybody is chilling over there. As we end up having some food available. I like the nasi lemak is listed as one of the food. No, that's the person. When the Queen cooked all the food, I guess she enjoys doing that. We end up having some gifts. We end up having this roll fella who gives over a knife. We end up discovering throughout this episode that they are the psychopath character. They do murder. They like doing that. they like knives, chainsaws, axes a lot. If it's a weapon, they're enjoying it. If it's a melee weapon, they will be using it at all times. In the meantime, some fellas are watching the television. And we end up having the BFDI on the television. However, it's like a soap opera, it's so funny. Like I'll be honest, the humor in the show, I wish I knew the language, but it feels for me because it's just this kind of like it's mildly surreal, but it still is wrapped up in like a story. And like, cause like the concept of like we turned BFDI into the soap opera in the universe, like, it's really goofy, and it's like, yes, let's go, why not? Cause it's a bigger amount of effort that needs to be there. You could just play BFDI on the television and it would be fine. But that detail is really funny, right? It takes the opportunity for the gag, right? Like when it can do the gag, it takes the opportunity for the gag. In the meantime, Umbrella and this character that keeps getting called Durian ends up are both kicked out of the house. Well, Durian got kicked out for some reason, stealing the food from Hamza and then getting kicked off the house. That makes sense. And then Umbrella just didn't get invited, apparently. So those two are the only ones not invited to the Queen birthday party. In the meantime, Aleph ends up. Well, I don't know. Aleph is the way that it's written. Of course, Aleph. Wait, I need Aleph. Where names of characters, this is gonna be easy, man. It's gonna be difficult for this, and I hope we can understand. But yeah, Hamza proceeds to immediately just shoot them like 1,000,000 times, and then also eat them because they look like Swiss cheese now. Wow, cheese, that's crazy. And then also, after they eat it, it proceeds to explode, and then the houses explode. What have I just described? So you see how random these events are. But like I like it, but it's so goofy, right? Like it sets the vibe of the show as just really silly, right? Because it's like, what has just happened is that Olive ends up being in a present. They open the present, then they immediately get shot and eaten so that they explode, and the house gets exploded, and then it gets rebuilt as a theme park. What have I just described? Is it like, this is what, like, it's unbelievable. But yeah, we end up re-merging the house, and then we end up having the games. Well, we need to have a split of 2 teams in the meantime. Well, Ba, which is I think the co-host, the co-host has earned all of the money from that one shop. Remember, at the end of episode 1, they had to wash the infinite dishes as the gag. They end up getting some head pads. I think that this Olive Bar, this dynamic, it's giving very 4NX vibes. It really is. It's giving very, very 4NX vibes, right? Like, Olive is less insane than 4, but like with the general randomness vibe of the show, they kind of play into that. And then of course Bob being the kind of cuter speaking, softer speaking, not really gonna do that many actions on their own, in the show setting, kind of waiting for Olive to take the charge, right? Well, Olive takes the charge, is nice to Ba, however, at the same time, uses that additional power dynamic to their advantage for sure sometimes. That's very 4 and X, right? That's very 4 and X dynamic, right? So, it seems to definitely be interested. In the meantime, they end up splitting each other into the 2 teams, which is, of course, not a lot of options. But after they end up being done picking the teams, and the king and queen end up dividing each other and everything, when doing that, Hamza looks really goofy all of the time. Hamza looks so. I like Hamza. I like the characters in the show. They're easy. They're easily remarkable, because like the show's silly, and they have these kind of type of streaming personalities, so they're nice. When they're having this show, it's so goofy. It's so goofy. It's somehow one of the goofiest shows I've seen. Like, what do you, like, the Vietnam flashbacks that freaking King's having, but then it's actually just ripping, like, it's just the chessboard in the background. Like, what? There's a flashback from that one time I was put in check. Like, bro. But anyways, we end up having the challenge, which is the title of the episode. Now, how do you say this? They say it in the episode. It's not how I said it originally. I think, so the K's are silent. The K's at the end of words, right? So, it would be how do you say it? Hold on. Ba, read it out to me. Hold on. Give me one. Ba, please, I need you. Nenek, si Bongkok, Tiga. Okay, I think that's how you say it. So that is the name of the game. So, Nenek, si Bongkok, Tiga is also known as Tag. And we end up is Tag, but for some reason the taggers are called grandmas. So yeah, amazing little explanation screen, by the way. Love that gradient. Love these example drawings. And basically you end up having 1 hour to do that. However, this does end up being different than Tag, because we end up having the taggers be blindfolded, and then if the taggers are blindfolded, how the hell will they get to the runners? But the runners are wearing duck shoes that make a shit ton of noise, so that way they can still be tracked audioally while the rest aren't. So that's what's going on. I mean, is that okay? There's a bit of suspension of disbelief, because, like, of course, yes, you would be able to maybe hear them now and maybe chase after that direction. Let's say that. However, they are inside a building with rooms and stuff, which means that it entirely becomes unrealistic again, because you just bonk into walls. right? Like, it doesn't matter if you can hear where the footsteps are. If you don't know where the door is, then you're gonna have problems, right? Like, you're gonna have issues. You're not gonna be able to tag anybody, right? So it's not exactly a functional system, but I get it. Okay, sure, why not? But yeah, then we end up jumping ourselves into the intro of the show, the official intro, which we got the budget for now. Remember, we didn't have the budget for it. Cool stuff. It's a nice intro. Very much so enjoy it. I think Olive moves very dynamically in this intro, from fetching it to the TV to fetching out the logo. It's a nice stuff. It's a nice intro, and it's a solid one. And then we end up having the challenge start. So yeah. It has I don't know how to exactly like describe this like fully, and it's that like I will say, all right, that there is maybe sometimes a little bit of like, is there? Okay, because like while I was watching the episode, I did feel a little bit of animation inconsistency. I did kind of feel it. Because, yeah, from scenes to scenes, you can see that it's just sometimes a little bit different, right? Like, the characters' walk cycles will kind of change, how much they're running or not, right? Then there's certain scenes that are more smooth. There's certain ones that are more like they're like less smooth, but just because it's a different style. Some have more lighting, some have less light, right? Like, it doesn't feel 100% consistent, and that I think is because of that communal craft nature of it, right? Like, this does feel like one of those like kind of communal craft shows, right? Where like it's a group effort, and by having the group effort, you do sacrifice a little bit of the general consistency of it, right? However, yeah, like these scenes, for example, where like the battle scenes where Psychopath Roll over here is going over and just trying to murder, right? Like, those scenes, it's cool, right? Like, they look good, but they don't look like the rest of the show, you know? Like, the way these characters move is not how the characters move in other scenarios, right? Like, it just feels a little bit different in general. And this is a thing for some other places. Then we end up having, we end up having some bits while the characters are doing the action. Not talking necessarily too much about the action itself, because it's kind of difficult to talk about action scenes, which is, you know, just kind of the entirety of the challenge. But there's a lot of gags everywhere, and they're funny. But anyways, we get a call from I don't know how to say Arabic letters, I'm sorry. Da. Okay, so we got to Da, and apparently Da will be going to Earth, alright, because they are, well, we don't know why, but they have a mission to complete, and Da is looking for a different character that is very similar to their name, is Da and Ta, because a different Arabic letter that's apparently missing, and the idea is that they're on Earth. I am not 100% sure what OJ is doing there, but why are you on the table, man? I don't know, but yeah, apparently that's what they're doing. In the meantime, Bao wants to hang out. Bao invites them to hang out, you know, maybe go to the beach, and then Thaw proceeds to hang up, so I don't think they like that idea. I don't think they like the idea of having fun, so, there's lore going on, there are some fellas are missing. It does put itself a little bit into question, comparatively speaking, to that, post-credit, because like there is no way all of these Arabic letters are relevant, right? So like, who's relevant? Why are they relevant? Are we gonna have like a pyramid kind of form, you know? Like, are we gonna have this kind of pyramid type thing where the characters end up sort of like there's more important letters than ever, you know? Like, how is it gonna work? What are they ever doing? Are they like all part of the same family? Are they in the different types of families, right? Because you see that Da is looking for Ta, right? And those are kind of similar, and they're both similar in nature to Ba as well. So are they kind of like are there different families of words? Like, are the other one, they're more the other styles, which I don't remember the name of, right? Are they like in a different subset? Like, what are they doing? Are they in another planet? What happened? Right? How does this work? I don't know, but it's gonna be intriguing to see. I'm being way too slow about that episode. But by the way, even though I did talk about the action scenes being a little bit different, I mean, like, hold on, don't get me wrong, they're cool. This scene where the freaking ball ends up gaining a design because of how pissed they are, like, it's smooth. It's dope as hell. Right, and don't get me wrong, it's dope. It's just that it'll maybe need to kind of, like, I think that it's probably gonna need just a little bit of maybe general work in a kind of having a maybe consistent, maybe giving a little bit of a more consistent nature to it. Although, like, I don't necessarily mind, but maybe from time to time it could work on it a little bit, but like it's nearly there. I would say it's nearly there. But other than that, as the episode progresses and we have the battle. By the way, how the fuck did you really just punch a chainsaw? What? How did you do that? The bro just punched the chainsaw, but and then just starts yeeting themselves out of Durian. You're just a rabid dog at this point. I don't even know. I don't, dude. Interesting things are happening, and then we have a chase all the way over the things. Then there's they go into a room where there's like all of are these the voice actors? No, I think these are the animators. But yeah, then the characters are trying to be in one of the statues, and then that's when then Umbrella's pissed off for not being in the show. They don't want to sabotage their team, but then there's a conveniently placed window, and since they're in blood, they fly back, and then when they're going back, and there's an explosion, and then the house is exploded again. If I had a nickel for every time a house exploded in this episode, I'd have way too many nickels. And then there's actually Nasi Lemak there at the last second. However, this croissant fella, or whatever your name was, you weren't a croissant, you were a different pastry, but you end up coming in and freaking spewing out a shit ton of those cakes that were there at the beginning, in the Queen party. Freaking a taco from Copycat. And then we end up having some more of it, the chasing, and then they end up someone flying off on a bicycle, and then somehow they fly off on a bicycle and end up dunking themselves onto Olive, and now they're burning, and they got the freaking red eye. You see what I mean? Like, describing the events of this show makes me sound insane. Like, what is happening in the show at any time? I don't know, but it's interesting for sure. But apparently Shyleaf is the last one to have not been tagged because they just did one of the very correct strategies. Actually, debatably, the most correct strategy for this game show, which is get the fuck out of it. If you are getting chased by blindfolded people and you make noise when you move, don't move. Go into a room and chill, and exactly that's what they did. They just went into a room and hung out and watched TV. As like nobody's gonna see them. This is correct. Like, you might think, oh, they got lucky. No, this is big brain. This is elite tactics. It's that Shyleaf is goated at the game. But yeah, do we end up having them lose because of that? And we end up having the voting screen. General design, by the way, of like the average like UI element is very solid. Like, these voting icons look great. The intro looks great. Like whenever a logo needs to get made, it gets made good. All right. So yeah, who's getting eliminated? I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like this depends a bit more on I feel like my opinion on this would be too different than the target audience, right? Because it depends, a character is more than just whatever is subtitled upon them, right? So, like, if I were to give a guess, maybe Maggie, because they just chased somebody and then failed and then done, and then her ally, maybe something like that. I mean, Rambutan did come over here and steal the food from Hamza. Like, I don't know. I'll say Maggie, but I don't really. I'll say Maggie, but I don't really have any type of proper perspective for it. I mean, Poppy, but there's Poppy, right? Poppy is the psychopath one. Do we like that? Do we think that's good, or do we want them eliminated for being a danger to society? That's actually a great question. That I don't know. I'm feeling like they survive. I'm feeling like the vibe of this show kind of plays along to that, but yeah, we're gonna need to see. But overall, that's Battle for Rafflesia. I've thought about that for way too long. Battle for Rafflesia is good. Okay, Battle for Rafflesia is good. I like it. It's got. I would say it's done good in terms of having its style. Style it has, in turn, like, because that's one of the dangers with these shows, that sometimes it doesn't have a consistent art style. This does. The art style is there, it's consistent. Maybe the animation style, like the animating, is a bit different from person to person, right? And it's not super consistent yet. So that's kind of the one thing, but the art style is there, and that's 90% of the work. That's 90% what you need to have a show with an identity, and there we go. We got that, right? Writing is very focused on being random and funny, and you know what it is. I enjoy it. I think that it's more than all right for a show to be like this. I more than welcome it. A show that's just supposed to be fun and funny, especially when it's trying to appeal to a different community. So therefore, it can do jokes that are actively funnier to that community. Like, I don't know. It is possible that I just missed some of the jokes. Like, if there's the joke that's the freaking the BFDI advert is actually this famous Malaysian advert. Like, I don't know that, but like, it's great. Do that. Like, it's great. Welcome in your own community and play to them, right? So it does all these things. Has the art style, which is solid, and in general, it's just good. It's just good stuff. I will say that despite being foreign as hell, being not anywhere near understanding the language or being from Malaysia, I have zero connections from there. I enjoyed this show. I thought the jokes were funny. It was a nice show. It was nice to understand. The voice actors, I would say, I felt like the job was done pretty well. From there, from my, of course, uninformed view, I think the art style is there, which is nice. It gives the show an identity. It makes it memorable. The characters are memorable because of how extreme they are. And then all the job of the show gets done well. So that is nice. Like that episode. Good stuff. I will be awaiting more. Yeah, I mean, hey. But yeah, that is my opinion for it. I like to share it because, I do know that the creator did ask for it. They did ask for the catch-up for this episode. So, yeah, but, like, despite that, I never get biased by it. I just think it's good. But yeah, maybe the only tip is maybe try to get the animation a little bit more consistency. But other than that, I think it's solid. So, yeah, good stuff. Next thing. Alright, next up, we are going over to the Magic 8 House of Things, as we usually do, because there are new releases, 2 of them to be specific. We're going to do them in alphabetical order. They're released on back-to-back days, as far as I'm aware. We go over with, starting off with the smaller one, which is episode 4 of Object, also Passtime. As a reminder, the reboot of that second season of Object Passtime after the current Tiga one has been yeeted out of the Shadow Realm. As a reminder for what happened last time, we ended up having the eliminated character be a needle in a haystack, and then we had the chance to say the worst thing you possibly can. Somebody said something so bad though that they actually ended up being up for that they actually weren't even safe because of that. So yeah, it wasn't great. But all right, let's go to episode 4, which is entitled "Everyone's Favorite Character." Go. Okay, that is episode 4 of Object, also Passtime, and remember the host, different one now, they actually died. Well, they had like a spasm after, the last time where Gumball Speakerball said the worst thing ever known to mankind. However, actually it was their evil clone, so that's good. But yeah, the host is dead. The host is dead, is no more, but thankfully, from the somewhere, a can of snakes arrives onto the scene to host a competition that did not work. But yes, it was a competition, and this apparently involves having an intro that's like twice the length of the previous one. I mean, it's pretty cool. Its intro's good. We know how to make intros around this house. We end up having some chiptune version of Turn the Lights Off, and we end up seeing it. Where are we getting these chiptune versions? Like where are we? You know, like where are they coming from? Are we making them? These original. But either way, it's a cool intro. I like that intro. Of course, it's always just a little weird to have a 1 minute intro in a 2 minute show, but you know. Either way, we end up having kind of snakes harness the power, and therefore we end up having them host a debut while the friggin' bean fella has been no more'd. I think, yeah, they've been eliminated, right? And therefore, it's time for the debuts. As it goes with these Magic 8 debuts, I feel like the Magic 8 debuts are very much so focused on character interaction, which is very fun. I like debuts that have character interaction on them. It makes the characters, it makes it feel much more chill, you know? Like, it feels like a much less competitive scenario, even though, it feels like a much less competitive scenario, but it actually makes it a more competitive scenario when the characters are just kind of looking over to their left and like actually talking. So like Lemonade, it's like, for example, okay, let's list them all. So we have freaking like exclamator say that the evil cup and ball is evil. Then Football Junior looks at the exclamator and goes like, what the hell is that? And the hidey hole shows up. But then Lemonade goes like, no, don't talk to the hidey hole, right? And then like all that's going on, and then there's the cave, and then the voodoo doll is talking to the cave, right? Like it makes it better as a debut, I would say, because like it actively showcases a character's regular speaking more when they're speaking in this scenario, right? It almost like it gives it an interesting situation. You know, hear me out. What if it was a debut that was like a round table? What if there was a debut that was like they have like a round table, like they all sit around the table, and then there's like a question, like, you know, like those Wired videos, right? Have like a round table discussion. And no, not Wired. It's that one the freaking 1v20. That's like Jubilee, yeah. No, Jubilee, but like have them at a table and ask them a question. Then you just have to talk it out, and then from that conversation you get to judge who you want to debut. That's actually a great idea. Yo, somebody should do that ASAP. Anyways, what am I yapping about? Oh yeah. I will say that, yeah, it is sometimes a little bit complicated though when we have a certain interaction like that, because it does make it seem like a character is the heel of the joke in a way, right? Where it's kind of like, okay, for example, when the cave just does a sound and then the voodoo doll makes the joke all onto the saying the cave, it makes it seem like the cave is the joke and voodoo doll's who you vote, right, is the one who made the joke, right? Like so some of that goes kind of like when like a character does a quick thing and then the other one goes like, what was that, right? Like it almost makes it seem like the first character is just the joke and the second one's the answer to the joke, right? That's maybe the one negative that I can see with it, but like it ends up being like a little bit complicated, kind of like the evil cup and ball being like, oh, I'm evil, and then the exclamator goes like, wow, that was so evil, right? It's like it makes it seem that the evil cup and ball was just like the setup to the joke that gets delivered in the next character, right? So that's maybe a little bit of the negative. Anyways, who's gonna join? I have no idea. I mean, there are a couple of which are from the original Passtime, so maybe like Sean Bucket or Voodoo Doll. I'm gonna predict Voodoo Doll because I think people like Voodoo Doll, but I have no idea. We're gonna need to see. Anyways, I've talked about way too long. This seems like one of those days where I'm just going to talk for way too long. Alright, well, it's time for Ties 9, okay? It's time to talk about Ties 9. As a reminder for what happened in the last episode of Ties, in the last episode of Ties, we ended up having, the aftermath to the world nearly exploding. We ended up discovering Silly Sauce's backstory as they end up dipping away forever and ever. And in the meantime, we end up having the challenge, which is to just find the bow ties again. They proceed to do that to various degrees of success, while also freeing the character that got sent away forever, which was like the Scratch fella. And in the meantime, we ended up having another double elimination there, as I think the show switched to doing contestant voting, right? So we ended up having like a quadruple elimination in one episode, which might be a record. And in the meantime, we ended up having some characters climb out of the elimination hole. All right, episode 9. There's a me in team. Go. Alright, that is ties 9. There's me in team. So, that episode, I mean, like, it was that. It's a little bit of a. It's that type of like awkward transition episode as well, because we end up having that kind of ties 8 be like the aftermath episode. So then that episode ends up as kind of a weird trying to get back episode. However, this episode ends up having the tie officially get like replaced, right, as host, because they were not doing a good job, right? So then this also ends up being a little bit of a weird transitioner episode, because we end up, of course, having to, switch up teams, switch up hosts, like having learning process and stuff, right? So with that, and the dynamics also change, right? Which means that, to be 100% honest with you, I feel like these two episodes, they could have been one episode. To be honest, I feel like that would have made more sense. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it makes for like 2 awkward episodes in a row rather than 1, right? And then it kind of chops the pacing. I feel like the average pacing of these past episodes is so different to the ones before. But it's kind of like, not exactly sure if I'm too convinced about what's going on here, right? But anyways, we end up starting ourselves here with a flashing lights warning. Is there one? From where? I don't know. But either way, we end up going over to, of course, our title card. And as our title card comes in, we see Ty extremely worried because they're supposed to do well. They're supposed to not make bad stuff happen to the Earth. However, in the last challenge, Earth nearly fucking exploded, right? Because all the fellas from the moon sent over, and we had to do a last second stop with the missed bow ties. Otherwise, we were cooked, right? So it seemed really like Ty was about to get busted. And in fact, Ty proceeds to get busted. In the meantime, the computer fellow, which I don't remember what you called, ends up not wanting to go to the elimination area, so they end up agreeing to hide them and then maybe get fixed up later by the fellow that's currently fixing the recovery center machine. And in the meantime, after we end up having the god fella arrive in a meteor, which I will admit, for being mad about the explosion in the last challenge, the fact that you just exploded a part of the Earth seems a little bit hypocritical, don't you think, God? But either way, the fellas end up just freaking snapping out of existence anybody that dares to oppose them for a moment, and but they end up being, you cannot be trusted, you're gonna go do my job then, and I shall do yours, I guess. So they end up swapping roles, so Ty ends up being stuck there. There's a barricade, so they're not allowed to leave. They have to observe the universe very thoroughly, alright? They have to observe the universe barricade. In the meantime, Biz Bow Tie ends up getting lied to, saying that, Ty is on a business trip. And Miss Ty goes like, that makes sense. Yep, sounds good. Sounds great even. So, we end up having the intro, of course, get played after. Well, I think we played the GDS version of the intro. There's a GDS, dude. I'm not gonna lie. There's Google. Google is invading this show. There's progressively more GDS references per episode. By Ty's 15, it'll just like merge with GDS. So like turn into the same show. They'll just, what is happening? I know that it's like a different Google. I'm pretty sure, like, on the credits, it literally says Google for GDS. Like, that's the name in this show of the character, which is really funny. But, like, it's just fun. It's just funny to hear it, dude. But of course, because of the double release, right? Ty's released alongside GDS, and I think another show, but we don't. That show currently not in the ecosystem. So, yeah, that is intriguing. But as we end up doing that, we have some new teams get lined up, and as we have some new teams, we end up having the teams get named. So we have Team Sky High. Team Sky High ends up being between the Rocket Fella, this has been a while. Do I remember any of these names? I mean, there's Bookmark, there's Tennis Ball, there's Doggone Pantymore, there's the Lightning Rod, there's I think Belladonna is what you were called. Then there's the weird Sims. Then this team is all right. I can see it. I see some power going on in this team. I think this team should be doing good. Then we end up having Team Cheers, so that's Bunnin, the Dumpster, the Tank, Nickel, Pan. I feel like this team could have some troubles here. I'm not seeing too much power, I'm not seeing that many powerful characters. I will admit that in the show in general, there doesn't feel like there's a threat. Honestly, threats in this show are very far and away not really here. Because I guess it's just like, there hasn't really been a lot of time to build momentum in this show, right? Because the act of building momentum in this show gets halted by the challenge that ends the world. So it ends up being a bit, there's a bit too many distractions to really focus on it, right? Because we're a bit we're kind of like just busy in general, to be honest. Like, there's really not much to say about it. But either way, we end up having the next team, which ends up being Don't Forget to Eat. So that's the Goldfish, 8-Ball, the Cherries, the whatever your name was, the Bomb. Then we end up having, and then there's Lego. Okay, this is one of those kind of easily distracted teams, right? Because there's a bunch of happy people. There's a bunch of mildly upset majority of the time people, right? There's all of these people together. And then it ends up kind of causing some problems here. But either way, so I'm not sure if I'm too confident in this team. Then we've got Team The 25s. Okay, alright. So this team is comprised of the Figurine, Robux, Tater Tot, Chicken Nugget, I think it's just called Nugget, Italian Flag, and Wrecking Ball. This is the most drama team. I feel like there's some drama going on in this team. However, I mean, the drama ends up kind of ending in this episode, but because of the figuring ends up getting eliminated. So maybe this team could have some stakes to it, so maybe they will lose because of that. They'll either win because they do. I don't know. I feel like this team is gonna crumble really fast, and then they're just gonna chill. So I feel like they're gonna lose 2 challenges immediately, and then they're gonna just kind of chill. I think that's what's gonna happen. I have a prize. Tally wins the prize. Good stuff, mate. And as we end up having the Godfella need to come up with a challenge, and they come up with the challenge of hot potato. Yes, challenge is the hot potato. 15 minutes. If you're holding the potato, you'll be up for elimination. Now, okay, here's the deal. Alright, there's a bit of, this is kind of one of those challenges that just kind of, I don't know, there's nothing to say about the challenge. There's not one thing to say about the challenge. Just kind of a challenge. I mean, I could say that I guess it's nondescript in the sense where it's alright, I mean, we didn't account for the fact, what if nobody's holding a potato? Did we think that through? Does it just go to the last person who held it when the potatoes explode? Also, wait a minute, are you upset that there was an explosion? Why are you making potatoes that explode? Are you pro-explosion or anti-explosion? I need to understand this, Godfella. But, okay, so they're doing that, and they're kind of having a challenge. This is one of those kind of speed challenges, that ends up kind of getting made when you have, something that needs to happen quick. It's this episode is not supposed to have a challenge, so I need to ASAP a challenge so that this episode can end before the 15-minute mark. So, okay, I mean, I get it, but it's not exact. It doesn't make her a very intriguing challenge, especially considering there's not really a lot. It's okay. Here's the deal. It's not a great challenge for right now either, because it's one of those challenges where it's when there's a team that the teams have just been swapped, right? They've literally just been swapped. So doing an intra-team challenge, right? No, an intra means within, inter means between. Fun fact. Like an inter-team challenge, right, where the teams are interacting with each other and attacking each other. I have not caught them yet. I don't know which team is which yet. I don't know which team has the hot potato because I don't even I don't remember exactly who's on each team yet. It's been 30 seconds since you showed it. Right, like it's not, I feel like it's not time for hot potato. Right, I feel like this is usually like when you form a new team, you have to kind of like this puzzle challenge, right? That's usually better. Usually, like you have a more kind of like puzzle challenge where the team's all together and they're chatting to each other. That way you nail, like you get the team dynamics. Like, okay, you is with them, all right? Like you see, and then it locks it a bit more down in your brain because like, okay, we have a problem challenge. The thing about the show, and maybe one of the reasons why it doesn't feel like there's that much of a favorite, like any kind of big contenders in this show is like there is too much inter-team shenanigan, maybe, to be honest. Now I don't think about it, yeah, because like when is the last time a challenge has just been do this shit on your own? Right? When has a challenge not been action? Like, think about it. Every challenge has involved direct movement. Whether it's going to the hold on, yeah, because like the only one. Hold on, wait. So let's see. He describes the challenges. Let's give it a review. All right. So we have. Okay, let's see. Hold on, give me a minute. So, find one of the missed bow ties. Yes, that's an actual challenge. You have to go look, alright? Okay, so you have to move. Protect your item amongst the giant storm. That one is alright. Although there is, of course, attacking the ones. But yeah, clean up the general area. You have to move to clean up the generator. Get a Christmas present for one of these guys. That one's fair. Fetch a bookmark. Everybody's going to the same place because there's only one bookmark. Then it's like step foot on every continent. Exactly, everybody's moving. At least that one's individual, right? So, and I mean that challenge barely counts as a challenge. That challenge is more just like a setup. But like it ends up as that, like, I guess like team bonding doesn't happen much on the show because like, and at least, like, we don't get to see much team bonding on the show because it's so like just movement oriented. There's not been a chill out challenge yet in this show. That might be what it needs, to be honest. It kind of does, because like I'm thinking about it and it's like, man, like these characters, like they are interesting characters. It's just that I don't get to see them that much in an interesting context because it's like, okay, because like you gotta think about it. The characters couldn't have interesting personalities when a character is just chasing somebody or like just throwing hot potatoes, right? It's like you don't really see that pay off. Like you don't necessarily see it really get performed that much, right? Like you don't, like usually in a scene where the characters are like fighting or throwing a hot potato or whatever, right? Like on average, it's like, yeah, it's like a broad scene. It's like a scene that a lot of characters could realistically do that same scene, right? Like you can swap it out and it's probably not that different, right? So it's probably not that different of a scenario with different characters. Whereas like in a more kind of social challenge, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm trying to analyze what's going on, I think this is what it needs. I've been to my recommendation. This show needs a social challenge. Because like the characters, they do have bonds, but we don't get to see them a lot, so we don't get to relate a lot to these bonds, right? And like you might, I will admit, some of it could be potential bias from the factoid of, okay, I don't watch ties that often, right? So maybe I don't remember that much. Okay, true, that is a little bit, but for other shows I do. so why not this one, right? So it's like, I think that might maybe be my recommendation, or try to like get some social challenges in, because the challenges are doing it, and also get a challenge in that's actually the focal point of an episode, because it's been like 5 episodes since there's been an episode where the challenge was the main point of the episode. It's been a little while, and I mean, I understand it for the memory zone or for the memory lane, for like is that what it was called? Was it called Memory Lane? Yeah, it was called Memory Lane. Like the Memory Lane, like trio. Okay, sure, why not? But like, I mean, in the past 2 episodes, it's like, okay, I mean, it's at least one of them, right? I don't know. Maybe that's what I think. Cause like, I've been noticing, right? By the way, this is the 1A split. I remember last time when I talked about Ties 8, I kept saying it was the end of 1A. Nope. Incorrect. I don't know why I ever thought that, but this is actually the 1A split. Nothing that big happens other than the host changing, but I guess that's fair. Maybe I guess this implies that Ty doesn't come back as a host, because then, like, I mean, why would it warrant the, like, if it was just a 1 episode dip, I don't think it would have encountered, so maybe the host is just gonna keep it moving. Speaking of which, okay, just last quick note on the host. So it's interesting. I do like the possible dynamics that get made with this god host. You know, I think it creates more interesting scenarios. The contestants know more about the show than the host, right? The host has more powers than Ty and uses them maybe a little bit more like freely. However, at the same time, doesn't have a lot of hosting skills. So therefore, as you can see in the elimination, tense moments, not really that much there, right? In challenge setup, you know, doesn't really know what makes a good challenge, doesn't know a lot of this stuff. Miss Bowtie is there to help, however, Miss Bowtie is also kind of clueless, right? And then Miss Bowtie thinks it's temporary, so doesn't know that they have to help that much, right? So then it's kind of like these things are happening. So that's kind of intriguing. I like that possible dynamic. And just very, 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 very last thing, because today's just the day where I talk about stuff for too long. I don't know what I'm gonna say about it. We end up having the elimination, where we end up having the paintball as well as the figurine get eliminated. Still gonna be 100% honest. I said it when it switched. I still 100% don't get it in terms of turning this into a contestant vote. I mean, like, what? I don't know, because like all of the so far every. Especially in this episode, the contestant vote is just like whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's not. I feel like I have personally not been intrigued by this contestant vote. You know, like the contestant vote, like reasonings. I mean, it's like okay, right, but it's barely shown off because again, remember the challenges have been in the back burner both of these episodes. So like they kind of in the back burner. So that means that we're not really focusing. Because again, this show's not that social. This show is more action. A more action show has viewer voting. A more social show has contestant voting because you want to forward the correct story. But you're not forwarding a story that much. The main story element that's progressing is between the host, and the viewer vote aren't going to ruin the host changing. So what? I mean, I'm sure there's a plan here, but I'm currently not visualizing it. You know, like I trust it maybe. But like I just don't know what it is. I'm currently completely lost on it. So yeah, I'm not sure if Ty's going exactly the correct direction, but I feel like it's still good. Episode's still fine, but like I must admit that if there's any word that can define this episode, it's probably just like average. There's really not many whatever words that I can really say about it, and somehow I've still managed to talk about this episode for like 2 times longer than I have any right to. Okay, next, whatever. Next section, go. And next up, we are going to jump over to the Empty Room channel because on the other side of the double release, or triple release, but we had ties alongside the 8th episode of Google's Diplomatic Show. Yes, Google's Diplomatic Show, or GDS 8, released as a reminder for what happened in GDS 7. We ended up stumbling upon an island where a bunch of fishes revealed themselves as the host in the first episode 1B with a couple of stylistic changes, and we ended up having the episode involve around finding the fishes. We ended up having some fellas. Yeah, we ended up having like half the team. It was viewer vote or something. Wait, I don't even remember how this works. There was some voting system that almost made sense. Hold on. Wait, how did this vote? Oh, I'm sorry, I just don't remember. Oh yeah, like half of a team was for viewer vote and half of the team was a contestant vote, which was an interesting situation. But yeah, all right, let's go to episode 8, which is entitled "Fishes in Dishes." Go. Okay, that is Google's Diplomatic Show 8, Fishes in Dishes. So, intriguing little episode. It's a little short, To be honest, comparatively, it fits in more thematic as an 8A because it's that type of episode that kind of ends on a cliffhanger, right? And like they're in the middle of the challenge, right? So I think it fits more thematic as an 8A. However, letters are banned, so yeah, we end up starting off here with some images of a television flicking. This might be Google. I don't know. Google's having the depressive episode, right? I believe this is the usage of course, some other situations. You get to see Ty. Ty's there chilling in the city. What are you doing? Go defend Earth. Or, go defend the edge of the universe. Or whatever. Which is intriguing. The only thing which I am gonna state is that that Ty is definitely sitting in the middle of the road. Like, they're not sitting on the side, like they're on the road. Are you good? Are you trying to get run over? What is it? Like, I don't know. I'm suspicious, Ty, that one. But I will fishes in dishes. With having the elimination. So as a reminder, half of the contestants got put up for contestant vote, and the other half of contestants got put up for viewer vote, which was the intriguing system. I'll be honest, I do not remember what my opinion on that was. My current opinion on that is that there's no reasoning for that split. So why? But it's just interesting. Out of the 53 vote record, we end up having, there's also reference to ties, but we end up having the eliminated contestants be actually glue and graduation now, because they tied at 25 votes. Wait, did they 25 votes? They tied at a lot of votes. They tied at 25 dislikes, which means that they're both out, so that makes a triple elimination in this show. As you can tell, this show's kind of speedrunning. It's kind of speedrun. I mean, we're doing the way it's always kind of had double Elam as one of its main ideas, but like triple Elam, all right, bro, we really are taking Ty's inspiration, with the Ty's quadruple elimination in one episode. But either way, we end up having some team swapping take place, and as Sam apparently gets a little bit more arrogant with it, of course, just allowing the elimination, not being as nice. His hosting is already getting to Sam. Hosting GDS is apparently like the most stressful thing ever invented. Sam's out here hosting for 1 day. He's already definitely tired of it. I mean, fair enough, I guess. But either way, we end up having a bit of a team split. So we end up having the Stretchy Blueberries, which are a team of 2, because Baseball Bat, who got promoted to its own character in the last episode, has been demoted back to not being their own character in this episode. So that's a little bit of an unfortunate one there for Baseball Bat. Seem to be flip-flop, and I hope in the next episode they turn back to their own character, and the episode after they could turn back, just forever undecided. But interesting thing, by the way, this asset for the bowl is not updated, right? with the new design. Actually, no, neither is Hedge. None of these assets are updated. Okay. The Sprinkle Pineapples, which ends up being Moon. Stretchy Blueberries, the Sprinkle Pineapples, Moon, Hedge, and the Little Flame, yes. And then we end up having Burj Khalifa, Eiffel Tower, and School Supplies, yes. The paperclip just escapes, by the way. I don't know what's... the paperclip proceeds to randomly spew out Photoshop as the words and the name of the team, and then just gets the hell on out of there. Nobody even knows. It's not mentioned. It's just not there. What? Where did you go? What are you doing? This show is full of suspicious people. I don't know. But either way, yes, we're already on Final 8 then, which means that, you can tell this show has, when you have double Elams and triple Elams, a show can go by fast. I mean, right now, the show is only booked for 12 episodes. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that crazy that at its current speed the show is only booked for 12 episodes? That's kind of crazy. But either way, the challenge is a cooking challenge. Cook. it's basic ass challenge, but the challenge is do the cooking challenge, and we proceed to have them do that. For some reason, Amber's already going like, yes, you would lie. What do you mean? You know this house for 2 seconds. What do you mean? Yes, you would lie. How do you know? When have they? To be fair, when have they lied before? Did they lie before? I don't think they lied before. What do you mean? But yeah. In this episode, not in this one, whenever the hell the challenge is, we will have the worst team to be viewer vote and the second worst team be contestant vote. Okay, so that is the information. Anyways, we end up having, of course, our GDS intro, and in the meantime, we have the teams start off their various tactics. So the team of Burj Khalifa, Eiffel Tower, and the other fellas end up and School Supply singular is now going over and it tries to catch a fish, which is an intriguing idea. I don't know if catching a fish is the best thing to give to fish. I mean, like, because cannibalism and stuff, but alright then. In the meantime, Hedge and Amber disagree on whether they should just... Well, Hedge's idea is that we just get fish food, right? Because, I mean, that was pretty good, right? Which is fair. However, Amber goes like, no, we need to cook food, dude. So they end up disagreeing. And it seems as if at least friggin' whatever the guy was... what is her name? Spencer. Yeah, Spencer seems to agree after telling Lemon Team over on the other team who was trying to fetch a coconut. Be like, you think we want a coconut? And it's like, okay, well, I mean, like, I don't. I mean, I guess, like, yeah, you wouldn't just eat a coconut, but, like, you're gonna need coconut, maybe, maybe you want to make coconut milk or something, you gotta kind of spice it up, how to get ingredients for shit, and then Spencer's like, oh, you think you want to cook? No, it's an ingredient, bro, you think we're just gonna serve you coconut? But, like, okay. Either way, we end up having them run over, and as Hedge is very go-lucky happy here. By the way, I still fully think that this Hedge asset is, like, over complex compared to the rest of the cast. I remember I said that last time. I still do agree with it. The other character designs are significantly too simple for Hedge's individual grass detail. Like, what? But either way, we end up having ball and baseball bats to go to the archives because they go back down to the weird lab that seemed to be that they found in the last challenge. And in these archives, and as we go into the archive, which Bull doesn't want to go to, baseball bat goes to, and of course Bull must follow. You see, I mean, hold on, are we sure? Sam, we gotta talk to you for a minute. Out here, baseball bat is getting more and more independent by the minute. I mean, have you seen how much baseball bat's moving? Baseball bat's the one guiding Bull now. You see, are you sure this bro can't be their own character? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. What do you mean it doesn't make much sense? This baseball bat's looking pretty independent to me. They're the one dictating all the shots out here. Who's going to the archives? It's baseball bat who said to do that. Now, who's going into the lab? Baseball bat said to do that. Who's going to the archive? Baseball bat said to do that. Who's looking at the papers that are revealing us extremely important lore? Baseball bat said to do that. Baseball bat's calling all the shots. I don't know. I don't know if I'm agreeing with Sam over here. But anyways, as we end up delving into the archives, we get the big lore dump. Yes, in the one paper that happens to conveniently be on the fridge, we end up having mysterious... I'll read this out. Breaking news, mysterious S now trapped in fridge. Following yesterday's events, one creature dubbed as S by authorities terrorized all of West Glorp. Its creator has now issued a public statement that S has been captured and trapped inside a refrigerator located in a remote pocket dimension. This, yes, there we go. That's my narrator voice. I'll get hired immediately. But yes, as we end up delving into it, we see also a bit of a tiny little design of Google and S, and therefore we get to discover Google was extremely worried about the refrigerator opening in the pocket dimension when the eliminated contestants were there, meaning because that implies that S has now evaded. S is gone. Whatever the hell S was, whatever the hell S is supposed to be, is bad. And this is why we have some big problems. Now, here's the deal. I mean, I don't know what S is, right, in terms of it is. I mean, of course, from the name S and from the shape looking like an S, it does immediately give me, of course, vibes of, okay, are we doing an algebraicanistic host? Maybe. That would seem like what would make sense. Well, not algebraicanistic host, just an algebraic type character, right? Which would make the most immediate sense, especially considering Google themselves are an algebraicanistic character, so like that would be, I mean, okay, Google is not algebraicanistic, they're animaticistic, but like, you know what I mean. We end up having kind of that's the immediate idea, and then of course the Pteranids and stuff. Now, my initial presumption would be that, okay, not that bad, because of course they'd be still in the pocket dimension, right? However, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, okay, here's the deal. How powerful is bro? Because you would think that, like, okay, if you could, because like my main fear is that, okay, Google's worried that they left, so now they're capable of getting away from the pocket dimension and doing all that stuff. Okay, sure, but like, if you could teleport away from a pocket dimension, right, and stuff, then it's like, were you really about to be stuck in a fridge? Like, you see, I'm sensing a cognitive dissonance between the like, I feel like if you could literally teleport yourself out of a dimension, you could probably transform yourself out of a fridge, right? I mean, I know that it might be a magical ass fridge, but like, then can't you make a magical ass pocket dimension, right? Like, I'm seeing, like, I don't know if I'm necessarily too convinced, right? Like, how would S really be that much of a problem? Wouldn't they just be stuck there? I mean, I guess the answer is clearly no, right? Because otherwise Google wouldn't be so worried. But like, I do find that a little bit suspicious. That, like, I don't know. I feel like he'd be able to escape the fridge then. But like, all right. And we end up having the post-credit scene there. We end up having a quick little shot of what S looks like. In them as the little shadow pops up with the fridge, by the way, having both door handles now open. It was just one before. No, not sure if you remember. But yeah, that is the S. I will admit, that's looking more like a, I don't know, what is that S? Is that looking like a Z? I mean, it's almost looking like a Z. I say it's distinguishably an S there. So yeah, they seem to be escaping. They're out here tipping. They're out being evil. Okay, something's gonna happen. This show is yeah, it's cooked. I don't know. After S arrives, they'll be like, "Oh, you dare block me inside a fridge, and I didn't even have my golden cheese wisdom," or whatever the hell I said that one time. And it's like, Google, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna replace you with my evil twin Opera GX. Speaking of which, this episode of Google's Diplomatic Show is sponsored by Opera. No. But like, we have I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just saying bullshit anymore. But yeah, it's a intriguing thing. I mean, we just kind of gotta let it cook. Of course, this is kind of the type of thing that happens. The episode that ends itself in a cliffhanger. It's difficult to actually comment on much with a cliffhanger because it's just kind of, well, you just gotta let it happen. You just gotta let it happen. You just gotta see what happens. I like, you can theorize, I guess, but it's just kind of, there's not the information for me to theorize about S here. Like, I just know that S is powerful. It looks like an algebraic, stuck in a fridge, escaped the fridge, Google now worried. These are the only elements that I can realistically presume, right? So then it's like, oh, I don't know. Right? So, we're gonna need to see. But again, it's like, Google's so powerful. What do you mean? It's like, Google's so powerful, you managed to put this guy into the fridge, and now the guy escaped. Now you can't put him in the fridge anymore. Now too difficult, impossible. You see, it's like, wait, your power hasn't decreased. Your powers, and you could say that S power increased. What, did they get cold? Does cold give you extra power because it's the fridge? I don't know. Like, I feel there's a lot of details out here that like, the only detail I'm confused about the plotline is, how is S too powerful for Google if Google was that powerful, and how is S that powerful if Google managed to be that powerful over S? Like, that's kind of the one thing. But other than that, I don't know. Either way, as is the theme with this video, I'm talking about shows for way too long. but yeah, overall, this GDS episode is alright. I do feel like this show maybe isn't. It's never given me like a massive sense of certainty. I will admit, like, this is one of those shows that has never really felt like it knows 100% what it's doing, right? Like, not in any sense. It's in the sense of kind of like elimination, voting system constantly changing, right? Environment constantly changing, assets constantly changing, even voices are changing, hosts are changing, lore elements are changing. Like I feel like stuff is maybe like it's not giving massive certainty. It's giving very dynamic, right? Which, however, when you have a dynamic show like this, you also kind of agree that when it does lore, it's like, okay, was this ready from the beginning? I'm not sure, but whatever. I'm gonna let it cook, as the kids might say. There's an April Fool's episode in comment. Will I cover that? Do I cover that? Let me know. Do I cover the April Fool's episode? Do I cover April Fool's releases? What I don't know what the fuck I'm doing for April Fool's. Do I cover the April Fool's releases? Let me know. But other than that, that is all for this one. Next thing. Next up, we are taking a trip over to the Iced Coffee channel because episode 2 of 6am released. As a reminder for what happened last time in 6am, 6am was the show conceptualized to be entirely improvised at 6am. The challenge ended up being to shoot a person. However, the person they shoot gets to shoot people to be eliminated. So it was an interesting little challenge where, you give somebody pain for the sake of giving them an advantage in terms of the challenge. They decide to shoot themselves, which is, I guess, smart. And then they choose two people, Music Box and Windows 1.0. Episode 2 of 6am is entitled Talents to Show and Shows to Talent. Go. Okay, that is episode 2 of 6am. However, before we talk about episode 2 of 6am, I have to address the elephant in the room. So, the elephant in the room is, as far as my personal knowledge goes, Iced Coffee themselves does not like me because of my catch-up segment on Battle for the Dream Island 13, which was admittedly a very, very mean segment, which I should not have worded anywhere near like that. I remember being relatively upset at the time. It got the short end of the stick because it was actually the first finale I had seen that ended off like that. And ever since, I've grown to accept finales like that. Now that they've happened a little bit more, I've seen them in a couple of shows, and as it's been doing it, I think that I exceptionally exaggerated how big of a deal it was. I was mean in the way which I said it by using some harsh wording, and even though in terms of the actual opinions themselves, I do still believe them, I don't believe them to that degree, right? So I don't think I should have stressed them out as much as I did, and honestly, to be fully honest, I think that it was fully comprehensible that Iced Coffee got mad at me for it, and that the connection was rifted from that. And I mean, I'm not sure if we're watching this segment. However, in the case that we are, because I mean, I guess we historically have, the thing that I have to say is fully 100% I apologize. I am sorry for that segment, for how harsh it was unnecessarily to what was obviously a forced situation based on external factors, right? And it shouldn't have been that way. Should have tried to find a more constructive way to word it that didn't use the words that I used. So from my aspect, I apologize, and I wish to be able to, in a way, continue the to watch your shows, right? Because at least from my end, I still hold full respect and no grudges with you whatsoever. Because the thing about a catch-up segment, and I'm gonna be 100% honest here, right, is that sometimes I'll do a catch-up segment where I'm like riled up about something, whether I'm riled up about a character's decision, or I'm riled up about like a decision the show made that I think is kind of dumb, and I go like, what the heck, right, and all that stuff. But like, in actuality, right, what after the segment's over, right, I don't really care. You know, like I say the opinion there in the moment, but I never hold I never hold it, right? Like, if I'm mad in a segment or whatever, if you can even describe it as mad, I never hold it, and I especially never put it against the creator, right? Because it's just kind of not correct to really do, right? Because I mean, it's like, okay, like, even if, for example, right, I in the way that it was with that BFTDI review, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is not how you should end the show. Shouldn't have done it like this. This is disrespectful. Whatever the hell I said. Can't believe I said. Unbelievable that I ever said that. But like even in that scenario, I close it, and I'm not like, oh, Iced Coffee is a bad person now, right? Because it's like, well, it's just a show. You know, like, my perception of a person does not ever imply from the content that they produced, right? So on my personal perspective, I still absolutely, the fact that, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the finale of the show does not mean I think of you any less. I'm saying you in a direct way. Not sure if we're watching this, but like I'm not like, I don't hold anything against Iced Coffee at all. And in a way, I hope that can be something that applies the other way as well. However, I can understand if no, but like, I hope it arrives from full sincerity from me, and I hope to be able to at least watch next episodes to have that. All right, it's happened before. We managed to, reconnect, be like, all right, I see where I went wrong. All right, I see where I went wrong, and then we managed to eventually keep that rapport going. So that is that. Okay. Alright, that is my preamble chat on 6 a.m. episode 2. Anyways, 6 a.m. episode 2 ends up taking place. The elimination after we get 19 total votes, which we end up reading out. Van Brown says A, yes. Correct. This is a show that I will say I do actually enjoy quite a bit. I enjoyed episode 1 quite a bit, and I do enjoy this. The part which I like the most about this is that it got this type of that, like, unhingedness that I think complements the concept, right? Because like, when you're watching the show, you understand the concept, right? It's directly like, okay, this is a thing that was made at 6 a.m., right? For it to be 6 a.m. when you're needed to wake up too early to think usually, or stay up so late that we're not even thinking anymore, right? So like, at 6 in the morning, we have, in general, like, when we're, especially for improvising an episode, is what we're doing here, it ends up that it's gonna have the type of more unhinged energy, but it's not a consistent unhinged energy, right? It's like consistently inconsistent. The guys are gonna be different here and there, and sometimes they're gonna be more more like more like regular gags, and sometimes they're gonna be more like bold, but in a way, like, that's what the concept would dictate, and that's what is nice about it, right? That consistent inconsistency, that a character in this, that we can have a totally serious scene in the show, or we can have a scene where, you know, the coffee with a green stain is doing whatever they're doing is like it's a nice like, it's a dissonance that works for this specific concept, and I do think that it complements it relatively well. And in general, the humor is funny. All right, in this one. Anyways, the eliminated contestant ends up being Music Box, a weird one. Everybody agrees that they're weird, so that's nice. And then we're having the 6 a.m. talent show. Yes, the talent show that's hosted at 6 a.m. So having one of the guest judges, the other guest judge, not exactly sure where they went, but we're having each character proceed to perform their talent. So, as each character goes on to perform their talent, we're starting off here with the Waits, who apparently can burp the ABCs. To be honest, I can't do that. To be fair to I'm ABC. That's not a burp. That's like a, what is? I can't burp on command. I know people can burp on command. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. So, like, at least, like, here's the deal. At least it is a talent, you know? It might not be a talent that you want to hear, but it is a talent, right? So, like, I wouldn't count it off necessarily, but, like, especially in the way that it was kind of being performed, which it wasn't exactly in the most correct way possible. You know, it was kind of sloppy. It wasn't confident. Then I will have to put an beep X on that as well, and have to deny it. In the meantime, we end up going over to Windows 1.0. Windows 1.0 can apparently draw a perfect circle with by an armless person, and they managed to do it. However, this ends up getting called out by the coffee with a green stain because it's not 100% perfect. It's actually one line that is missing. However, my personal opinion on that is that that is pedantic and is not necessary, because if you notice, that little smudge was on the outside of the circle. This means that the actual circle part itself is still 100% circular, which means that it is a perfectly accurate circle, right? If you look from the center to the border, that line is 100% circular, and therefore I would fully approve of Windows 1.0, and I would give it the golden buzzer, whatever they do in golden talent shows. Well, isn't KSI in Britain's Got Talent? I saw a video of that the other day. But anyways, it's all get sidetracked. But they end up doing that. Then we end up having the Blueberry, which has to do impressions of their favorite cartoon characters. These are some pretty uneventful impressions, I do have to admit. I would not be approving of this one because, yeah, I don't know, the impressions they're not exactly the best, I will have to admit. And then in the meantime, we have Frisbee that made microwaved curry because they don't have any talent. I mean, and both of these fellas ends up agreeing that it's pretty good. Now, they agree that it's pretty good to different levels. But yeah, I mean, like, it's, you know, it's one of those situations where the contestant ends up winning immunity entirely on the detail of playing it so extremely safe, but then it works because everybody else plays it so unbelievably badly. Like, everybody else fails so hard that being 5 out of 10 ends up actually winning you immunity. But yeah, Coffee with a Green Stain apparently you know, did one under the desk, which is suspicious. But yeah, Headlamp's talent is that they can turn on the lamp. I mean, that's not. Yep, that beep. That is getting a rejection from me, unfortunately. I mean, like, yeah, it is cool that you can do that, and other people cannot turn on their inner headlamp. However, that's not a talent. That's a physiological trait that you have as an object. So that's not. That doesn't count. It doesn't count. Is that? It's like if you got, like, the world's tallest person on the Got Talent. It's about, like, my talent is that I'm tall. And it's like, okay, but, like, It's like, okay, I mean, like, it's cool that you're tall and stuff, but like, that's not exactly like, that's not that just happened, you didn't have to harness it that much, right? So, it's not. It doesn't work. Everybody's up for elimination. Who should get eliminated? I mean, like, the worst performer is definitively. Like, I think Blueberry is the one with the least redemption to it. However, Waits is the one which was the most painful. So, Wait is predictably, I would say, going. Yeah, I would say that Wait is going. And then, I don't really know. It's either Wait or Blueberry. I think Windows and Headlamp should be pretty chill. But I'm saying that Wait is going. But although Blueberry is the worst one, I would say the worst one because it was the least talent out of any of the talents, right? So yeah. So good stuff there. Wait is gonna be going home. And yeah, that is 6 a.m. episode 2. I like 6 a.m. I think it's a nice show. It's quick, however, it's not too quick. Like, it's quick, but it's not too quick. It doesn't drag on either. So it keeps itself relatively in line. Maybe helped out by, of course, its self-imposed time limit. But yeah, it does that while at the same time, being unhinged because of this kind of whatever goes, right? Not a lot of time, right? And it ends up working out. Again, it takes, let's call these capability of improvisation that has been trained up over a long time, and it really shows into full effect in just how you can do something quickly because of it. So, that is something, even though, I know that the episode wasn't done at 6 a.m. because of the description, but like, either way, I think that it applies, right? Alright, anyways, that is all for the 6 a.m. talk. I hope to be able to cover more iced coffee stuff in the future. Because at the end of the day, I do enjoy it, right? Like, at the end of the day, especially, again, that BFTDI can make it seem like I didn't enjoy the iced coffee content, but like, I did enjoy the iced coffee content. Like, Battle for the Dream Island, it was a series that I got very into, it's a series that I remember. It's a memorable one for me, right? Because it was trying a lot of lore. Maybe I wasn't necessarily agreeing with the lore all of the time, but like, it was there and it was interesting, right? And like, even like, people watch soap operas, they don't like what the characters are doing in the soap opera, but still like the soap opera, right? So like, it's I would say that I did like Battle for Dream Island. I like Battle for Building. I think that's kind of fun in its own random way. And I like this, right? So I'll be honest, like, I like the ice coffee shows, and I'd hope to be able to see more of them, but we'll see what happens in due time. All right, next section. Next up, we are going over to Digital Clock's Media's channel, because over Digital Clock Media's channel, episode 4 of Stillwater released. Yes, it did. It's been a while since this has happened. So Stillwater is the show that we originally watched from Digital Clock Media. It's also, I would say, the main one. However, it's been a little bit since that has happened. Indeed, actually, let's see, how long has it been? Like, it's been like it's been like over 5 months. But either way, as a reminder for what happened in the last episode, if I remember correctly, the last episode, we were supposed to bake a cake, right? And then the parents of alarm clock, which are a TV and a just regular clock, ended up eating the cakes, and then A team lost. I don't remember how, to be honest, but the A team lost. Let's see how much I can remind myself of it heading into episode 4, which is entitled Unlucky Graveyards. Go! Okay, that is episode 4 of Stillwater. Yes, it is time. It's been a while since the last enactment of Stillwater. So what is going on? So first of all, we end up getting over to what seems to be some like gray flashback after they dipped off. They seem to go into the bendy landscape, and as they went over into the bendy landscape, they have ended up apparently want to take their mind off things after getting a little flashback at the beginning of what seems to be regular grave, however hidden up bendy, and then getting bendied. I don't know, but yeah, they drink a full beer in one chug and then proceed to dip away and get back as the other fellas are just kind of having fun, chatting about, and as we do that, we end up having also the death of wait, we have like a funeral for the like hat or something. However, they just end up getting revived because death in this show is not very real. But yeah, it's a very chaotic opening few minutes. I will admit, it's very chaotic opening few minutes here of this episode, as it ends up Stillwater. I feel like it's higher energy than the last few. However, like Stillwater is a show that is historically quite high energy. But yeah, I feel like this episode even amps it up a little bit more than usual. The energy is relatively high with this one, and yeah, so. I do think that in terms of the other categories, voice acting is still it's the same. I'll say that the DCM puts in a good performance on average. I think that the microphone manages to hold itself pretty well. There's enough effects added to enough of the voices that really differentiates it on it. Although I guess like the voices are not super differentiated from one another, but like either way, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I still do think that it's a missed opportunity to have it's a friend show, so can the friends voice that? I feel like that would be good. But like I said that back in the day. I say it as well. I still think it's a missed opportunity. But other than that, we have animation. I think there's like an animation error too, but like I would say the animation keeps itself relatively consistent. In the meantime, when having pixels, the Just Custom ends up watching cute dog videos and proceeds to demand that Pixel turn into a cute dog immediately, and they proceed to do that, which is pretty epic. So everybody likes it, including Grave, who's now back, by the way. They dipped off, and as they're back, they proceed to think that it's actually too good, and they proceed to smooch. Now, okay, yeah, I think I've said this the other time. I think I said this during the freaking, like, I don't even know, the Christmas thing, Reef Warriors or whatever it was called. I think I said it during that moment, but I'm gonna just be fully for real, right? This is suspicious. This is suspicious. How much Digital Clocks Media shows keep having a smooching scene included in in each one of the shows. I'm gonna say that this is starting to get a little bit suspicious. You might be thinking about it a little bit too much, man. I don't know what's going on, but like I'm looking at this and it's like something's up over here. Something's going on, every time I get tagged, there's always a moi at the end. I don't know, you're kind of into it. You're acting a little sus, if we're allowed to use memes from 2020. But either way, I do, but at least to give credit where credit is due, I do like the subtle detail of wiping off that Pixel does after they're in the show. Anyways, elimination. The eliminated contestant ends up being with 10 votes, because you can't vote infinite amounts of time again. This time we end up having Yo-Yo Bucket eliminated with 10 votes for no reason, to be honest. Not for much of a reason. As the person that wasn't there didn't get eliminated, and the person that fucked up the challenge didn't get eliminated. So I don't know. I think that it's one of those things where, to be honest, when I look at like a friend show, right, a show that's kind of like for the friend group and stuff, and it's like kind of relatively small in nature, I do tend to factor in eliminations as kind of non-relevant. Right, because like majority of the voters of the show are going to be the friend group itself, right? The friend group, the people that are on the show, right? Which means that like the general voting perception of those people is gonna be so significantly different because of their own perceptions and visions of the characters, which are of course gonna be different because they're seen more as OC rather than characters in a show called Stillwater. That is gonna just be a different general perception than it would be in for an average viewer, right? So I don't necessarily factor it in too much. Yobucky got eliminated, not sure why. Other people have a reason. Like, all right, then it goes how it goes. Goodbye to the Yobucky. And that's they probably end up having Magic at the last second say that they're sorry to Pixel for that one crash out that they did, and we end up having them be like, look, I'm not mad at you, but I'm not necessarily gonna, I don't trust you again just because of that. We end up having the intro, and then we end up having the challenge. If you okay, so you need to crack. No, sorry. You need to protect the egg. Each one of you have an egg. You need to protect the egg from cracking. You can build any type of shelter you want in 45 minutes, and you have to stop it from cracking after it hits the bottom of the cliff. Gonna be honest. Fully 100% honest. At the end of the challenge, we end up playing on the technicality of, we never said you had to throw an egg down the cliff. And then it's like, well, you did though. You said that, like, in the challenge explanation, it says that you have to stop the egg from cracking when it hits the bottom of the cliff. This means that the egg has to hit the bottom of the cliff. Those two criteria need to both be met. If you throw a ping pong ball, is what a team ends up doing. If you throw a ping pong ball off the cliff and it lands it, one of those criteria has not been met because the egg did not hit the bottom of the cliff. If you could cheese it by, like, for example, walking down the cliff and then lacing it on the floor. Sure, you could do that, right? But like, you wouldn't necessarily be out here, like you wouldn't. I don't know about that, to be honest. I think that the technicality didn't work here. They didn't specify, but they did though. I think that the hosts are wrong in this one. Anyways, two teams decide that it's time to go to the Still market, or the Still store, as they call it. One team wants to fetch blankets, and the other one has to fetch an egg because they accidentally ate the egg. Did you just eat a raw egg? Are you good, bro? But yeah, the alarm clock proceeds to drop over at the store. However, to say that the store is off limits. You cannot go to the store because I don't know, we've been going to it too much. I'm sorry. If you make your environment nothing, and then there's also a store, then it's like, yeah, duh. You're gonna need to go to the store. It's the only thing on earth. And then this is the worst challenge to keep the store off limits as well. It's actually so rough. This is because, like, what are the contestants gonna do? The contestants aren't gonna do anything. You're like, oh, you have 45 minutes to build protection for the egg. Okay, well, let them get materials. You'll be like, oh, figure it out. Like, what do you mean? We're in a void. There's no, like, if you were in, like, a city, sure, I don't know, like, go chop down a tree. But make a box for it or whatever. But, like, what? You can't just do that. This is weird, man. I don't know. So we end up having a forcibly limiting challenge where nobody gets to do much of anything. But yeah, so they end up trying to steal another team's egg. All right, so as they try to steal another team's egg, they manage to. They just fail. They go up to one team, and they don't give them the egg because that team's ended up bailing. Because that team was the team, that decided to swap it out with a ping pong ball as egg colored. Right, as Gray proceeded to teleport the egg to friggin' wherever land, to Bendy land, so they couldn't give the egg anyways, right, to the other team because of course it would have been a ping pong ball. So they go over to the wrong team, just absolutely, and then they don't have time to go over to the other team. Then the team that wanted to get blankets doesn't really have any solution for the problem because of course there's not anything. So they have to unfortunately take the beanie from Topaz Cookie and have to try to cover it up like that and pray it works, which unfortunately. It turns out to not. Big fan of the scene of the 15 minutes left, and then Longcrow just secretly turns it down to the time ending. Love that scene. But yeah, we end up throwing the one with the beanie, and it ends up cracking. Now, okay, gonna be honest here, right? Topaz Cookie is absolutely distraught by this, right? Topaz Cookie is like, a world has ended, alright, because of this, alright? But even then, it's like, I'm sorry, right? Like, you could like use the beanie. Okay, I mean, you can't use the beanie if an egg is cracked on it, of course. But like, you can wash the beanie. I mean, I don't know. Can you wash the beanie? Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm not seeing a washing machine, but I'm presuming that somewhere in this universe there's a washing machine, right? Like, surely you can wash a beanie, right? Like, I mean, I feel it's possible. Like, I mean, it might not be easy, but I feel it's probably, you could clean it up. Like you're not necessarily out. Like, the beanie's not, the beanie didn't explode, right? So I'm not necessarily sure about it. But either way, we end up having, and then the team that doesn't end up having an egg, they're up for elimination because they don't have an egg or anything to throw. While the other team is eliminated because their egg ended up cracking. Who should get eliminated? No idea. It's none of these two teams' fault. They got just both scammed. They got both scammed. They did not. The Still store being off limit was not a part of the rules. They both took the trip there and then proceeded to not get it scammed out of them at the last second, which is very, very so unfortunate. The only person whose fault it is Dusty, because Dusty ate the egg originally, right? So that's why they're going to Still store. So Dusty is the only person who can realistically say did a mistake. Because the entire team at the top, they did the most possibly realistic thing they could have done, right? Like, there was nothing else for this team to do to protect them other than like taking Bacon Boy's jacket, which I guess might have worked better, but like, there's really nothing like, put in the pocket or whatever, but like, there's nothing else that would have possibly like been a reasonable tactic, for their team, right? And then after the egg has been eaten and nothing else, like, you can't steal an egg because you didn't find one. There's nothing that they can do either, right? So there's literally no solution to the team's problems. That's why I think the Still Store should have been allowed, because like, you see what I mean? Like, there's just no options. Like, it's not a creative thinking challenge if there's nothing that you can do. It's like, if you're put in a room with a stick, okay, if you're put in an empty room with a stick and an egg, and they get asked to defend the egg, build, protect for the egg. It's like, there's nothing in the room, mate. How am I supposed to solve this puzzle if there isn't a puzzle, right? Like, it's not, there's nothing here for the contestants to work with. So there's nothing here for them to chat, for them to do. It's more to me, it's more interesting in the opposite way. Like, if they did get to buy a blanket, right, and they bought whatever blanket, they built a blanket for around it, that's more interesting than them being forced to use a beanie that's obviously not going to work. Right? Like, it's significantly more entertaining. I would say. The same thing goes for whatever the hell Blue Jay and Dusty were about to do. I don't know what they were going to do. We'll never know, because they weren't even able to start the challenge because they ate the egg. Like, what the hell? I don't know, man. I don't know. Not personally a big fan of that limitation. Then we have a cute little scene of the fellas over there dangling and having a chat. I like to seeing this. This was always one of the things I wish they did in BFB when they were all like spinning in the cage uncontrollably. I always wish they showed more scenes of how it actually is in there. They did a few, but I wish they showed more. I always find these interactions cute. I like them. But yeah, that is Stillwater episode 4. I do think that, it's got some technical aspects wrong. I do think that it's intentionally sabotaged its own challenge, making it like just a forced challenge. Right? A challenge that encourages zero creativity whatsoever because there's nothing to be creative with. And then, general elements are alright for the most part. But yeah, that is Stillwater episode 4. Let's hope the next episode releases in 2026. Let's see what else is going to happen. Next segment, maybe. Next up, a quick drop by PeaceMapleOSC's channel because another episode of the Novemberly Object Show that happens at every time except November ends up taking place as a reminder in the last episode of the Novemberly Object Show, which was entitled "Wow, it's February already." We ended up having the challenge be to make the turkey host turkey. A couple of fellas did that. However, the parappas were not capable of pulling it off. Episode 3, the super cool collab of a lifetime. No joke, no joke. Go. Okay, that is episode 3 of the Novemberly Object Show, the super cool collab of a lifetime, no joke, no joke. So, the collab of a lifetime, which is referencing the collab with Ding Dong, which is their own show, which has one episode. As part of it, we end up having a moment where we end up stepping through a portal to Wiggles' car, and the Ding Dong fell into doing it. Now, this is an interesting little episode because I feel like the vibe of this episode is quite a bit different than the other Novemberly Object Show vibes. It's trying to be random funny in a different way of random funny than episodes 1 and 2 were random funny, because I feel like episodes 1 and 2 were a bit less focused on just the improv nature of it, and a bit more focused on like the general editing, right, with like Parappa especially, right. So it was a bit more focused on having a lot of random ass edits going on. In this episode, there's not really a lot of random ass edits. It's just kind of a one take masterclass here. And we have it being performed, and even in the comedy style, I would say that it's a little bit like, okay, the best way that I can describe what this feels like is, it's like if you try to be extremely random at 8 in the morning when you woke up half an hour ago. I feel like I would sound like this. I feel like if I did that sequence of events, I feel like I would sound exactly like this. Where they end up kind of being like weird, like it's the final 2. This is so epic. Wow, it's the final 2, guys. This just so final 2. Like, like it's a little bit like trying. But yeah, in terms of the elimination, by the way, both of the Parappas actually get eliminated, which is somehow the least interesting possible scenario, because like we don't get to see Parappa go, no, Parappa Jr., and we don't get to see Parappa Jr. do the very interesting thing of trying to see what somebody who constantly just replicates the bigger Parappa does when there isn't the bigger Parappa, right? That would have been very interesting, but nope, both of them get eliminated. Final 2, because of Onion Skin dipping away to go over to another show, nobody ends up finding them, which means we end up having the final 2. They're both up for elimination, so we end up having, I believe what is defined as a vote to win. They're up for elimination, but it's a vote to win, okay? So, vote to win, for either the Wiggles car or Vera Fella. I would vote for A personally, but I don't know. We're gonna need to see. But yeah, that is the Novemberly Object Show 3. It's definitely a bit random. It's not November at this point. It's not even coming up with an excuse to why it's getting episodes not in November. It just feels like it. And I mean, okay, sure, so much for a gimmick. But yeah, I mean, look, you do you, show. Who am I to judge? All right. That's all I can really say about it. Next segment. Next up, we are going over to KuyaRAdventures' channel because we are going to watch BFMH. It's going to be the last time that we watch BFMH because the final 2 episodes of Battle for again magical. Yes, magical. Very sorry. I keep forgetting. Battle for Magical Hotel ended up happening. As a reminder, for the last episode, Sayaka got eliminated, and we ended up having the challenge, which was to do all of the previous challenges. And after that, we ended up having the blue one, which I don't currently remember the name of, be safe, and therefore the other fellas are up for elimination. Not a lot's left, so it's time for episode 32 of BFMH, which is entitled The Closer to the End. Here we go. Okay, that is episode 32 of BFMH, the closer to the end. So, it's the quote-unquote filler episode, right? It's that awkward second to last episode where you eliminate somebody and then have to announce the vote to win. So, we end up doing, well, exactly that. It's a very technical episode, right? Where the eliminated contestant ends up being Momoko, which gets eliminated. Goodbye, missing out on the final 3, which makes the final 3 none other than, if I'm not mistaken, Cerno, then Nemu, and then Rumia. So, we end up having Nemu be the OG contestant, Cerno be the newbie, and then Rumia be the rejoiner. So there is one of each category in the final 3, which is kind of fun, right? That's cool. But yeah, by the way, the prize for the elimination is soy sauce, which is hilariously probably the worst prize in the show's history. Like, it's not even, you don't get a glass of soy sauce. They just the host just chucks it at you. And not even like, you don't even get to eat it, just yeets it at your clothes. Like, bro, what is that? I mean, fair enough, but wow, that's a bit mean, innit? Like, man, that's kind of crazy. I mean, all right then, you do you, I guess. But either way, we end up having this final 3. Now, I'm gonna be 100% honest. It's maybe a little bit cheap to have, like, it be written on the screen, newbie, rejoiner, OG contestant, because, like, there's the famous object show thing of we don't like newbies winning and we don't like rejoiners winning, so, like, having it directly stated who's the rejoiner, who's the newbie, for a lot of people, it's like telling them, yo, who do you not, like, yo, these are who you don't want to vote for. But yeah, personally, although there is the OG contestant there, I do think that Rumia would be the best winner. No, came in did good. From that surprise region, no, was pretty convincing, all things considered. So I personally would have done that vote, but we'll need to see. Again, a lot of the time, especially because it's on a community post, right? And a lot of the people that look at the community posts are not then necessarily watching the videos because the community posts just appear in a different type of algorithm. So it's gonna be also a bit more on the general perception of the characters beyond just what they did in the show. So we'll need to see. Let's see. Especially because this will be, I think, what the only one of the few votes that's positive, right? One of the few votes that's positively oriented, right, in the show, because it's always vote to eliminate, but here it's a vote to win. So we'll get to see not who people don't like, but who people like. Alright, it's time. The final episode of BFMH is episode 33, and it is entitled The Final Part of the Show. Here we go. Alright, that is episode 33 of BFMH, as the thumbnail describes, and wow, it feels good. I mean, I have to believe that it does, right? I mean, from 2023 all the way to now, this was a show that was in production, and you know, considering that it's a show that's like just like such a little hobby passion project, I do think that it's very nice to see, you know, just kind of like a little cute little non-serious, you know, just kind of vibing project that's not supposed to make a lot of sense, just kind of supposed to be there and fun vibes, you know, just getting itself over the line after a long time of just being consistently into it, wanting to do it. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, even though, like, you know, I'm not gonna say that it was the best show ever made, right? But, like, it was, you know, very much so just like what we wanted to do, right? Like, it was just kind of, we wanted to make this silly show, connect to the characters and things we like, right? And then, you know, have some community engagement with it, have some challenge, experiment here and there, write some stuff, right? And, like, it's just supposed to be that. It's not supposed to be anything grand, and therefore I think that it's heartwarming to see it finish. I think it's really cool to actually see it finish. You know, especially, you know, as hey, I took the entire journey alongside it, and it's epic. And by the way, the winner of the show ended up being Cerno by a landslide, getting 73% of the total votes, which was a lot of votes, to be fair, 85 total votes. So Cerno gets 73% of them to win the show. I think that's a reasonable winner as well. Rumia was, I think, a little bit better, because I think Rumia came in a little bit more aggressively into the show, you know, kind of did better right off the gate. However, Cerno was also a relatively good performer, you know, came in kind of like that smack dab in the middle, and managed to kind of gel with the team and really become a part of the cast, rather than, I feel like Nemo was a little bit kind of like always kind of off into this, never really took charge in an episode. So I think in this episode, you know, seeing Cerno win, I think it's a good win, it's a good victory, and I like the color blue. So, yeah, that is pretty nice. Good stuff there for Cerno to having officially become champion. They end up winning the Magical Hotel. They decide, as far as I'm aware, I think they invite everybody into the Magical Hotel. They don't leave anybody out. Which is a nice victory, and the show ends. Good stuff there for everybody involved. You see, isn't that cute? Isn't that nice? Isn't that an epic, heartwarming moment? I think it is. I like that. And you know, BFMH is a season, as I already said, it just stands out. It just stands out as that. Right, it just kind of stands out as this, you know, kind of having that this like cute little project approach to it that's like not supposed to be anything grand, and like it's, in a way, it's charming to watch, right? Even if sometimes sometimes it's not like a super easy watch, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna say that it was super easy to watch BFMH, to be honest, because like watching that 1 to 20 in one sitting, like, it can sometimes be a bit of a drag when episodes, you know, they weren't paced the best. But I do think that that's actually improved heading into these later episodes. Like, on average, I will say that I would say that I enjoyed it. It was different to anything else here, and I liked it quite a bit. So I would say that my general perception of BFMH is positive. I would say that it's positive. You know, it's a show that's imperfect, however, it's not meant to be. So, yeah. In terms of other things, I'm not exactly sure what I'm exactly gonna do. So BFMH has other seasons. All right. Now, how do the other seasons work? I don't know. I don't really know how these other seasons work, because there's a season 2 that already ended, and then there's a season 3 that's ongoing, and then there's a season 4 that just started. So how does that work? How are they different seasons? Are they connected? How are they connected? Right? And it's just that type of thing where I don't exactly know, beyond just watching it. However, it's one of those things where, as far as I'm aware, I don't think that these other series are competition shows, right? Like, are they? I don't think that they are. at least as far as I'm aware. I took like a very quick skim, but it didn't really seem like it was it was a competition show, which means that kind of like I'm not sure if they necessarily qualify that much as object shows then, right? Not saying that every object show must be a competition, but it's just that like these shows are already treading the line in being an object show, right? Because it's like it has significantly higher quantity of characters which are not object show characters rather than having them, right? Like it has significantly more, characters from other pieces of media than object shows. So then if it does that, and then it's also not inspired by object shows for any type of its functionality, for its format, then it's like at that point I don't think I can classify it as an object show. To be 100% honest, it like a slice of life series where 10% of the characters are object show characters. Like, I don't think I can classify that as an object show. I don't think I can do that. Like, realistic. Like, I don't. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't see myself do that. So that's a bit difficult. But we'll see. Maybe we'll cover it. In due time. I'll need to see. It's not an immediate plan though. It's not an immediate plan to cover any of what is marked as the other seasons of BFMH right now. But like overall, I am I'm open to the idea, but currently I'm not exactly in any type of rush to do it for the reasons that I just said. In terms of what I would wish the future to be, I do think that I'm not actually it's like, while I do find it cool, I think, as I said, I think the other time I talked about BFMH, I would be very much so into the concept of actually trying to do an object show. Like actually pulling it off, because I found that when the characters, they were given limbs to move, they moved it. Like I did find Teardrop a relatively suitable character for the show, and I'm pretty sure one of the seasons is based after them or something. All right. And like beyond that, right, I found that the designs for 4 and X, they're actually rather charming. I actually like looking at 4 and X in the way that they're drawn in this show, and it's like, yeah. Right, like you can, I think that when given the opportunity to animate a character, like properly animate a character, I would say that it's there, right? Like I do think that in a way, BFMH stuff, it's a bit bottlenecked sometimes by kind of having that restriction, right, on being forcibly a character from a show, right, which means that it has to use the one asset of it, right, that we fetched off Google, and it has to use that one text to speech of it, so that otherwise it's not their voice, right? And this bottleneck makes the show feel a general bit lower quality, when I do really believe that if we just did if we tried properly to make an object show, come up with some characters, do something simple, I do think that it would work. I think that the skills are there. To be honest. I think that the skills are there, that if we were to try to make an animated object show, I think that it would be pulled off. That is my honest opinion. I do think that is possible. Like, I'm looking at it and it's like, I think this show has thrived the most when it has had this free reign over character movement, right? I would say that, again, maybe it's never the idea to try it. Maybe we're never gonna try, right? But because maybe we just want to take it easy, just keep doing what we've been doing for 3 years. Okay, sure. However, I do think that it would function. I'll be honest. I think it would function. And I think that, it would be that next step, right? I think that it's just that next step that's kind of like, it would be nice to see, because it's we have been doing, a similar thing for a couple of years now. It's like, we shouldn't, I feel like we should take that next step. We should give it a go. We should try to be a little bit ambitious, I feel like we should give it a go. We should try to be a little bit ambitious. Come up with a character. Have an OC or something. I don't know. Do stuff. But I feel like we're there, you know. Time has passed. We got fun, you know. Like, let's get an ambitious project on the way. Especially considering, you know, like we're still doing the other season. You know, there's still the season 4 and that season 3, right? So it's like, I mean, like, we're doing other stuff. So like, we're still got that feel easy show, right? So like, even if we're still doing that, right? I mean, like, we can try to be a little bit ambitious. No, we can take it down. We can do it, right? We can try that. We can try to make something original. Okay, come on, let's give it a go. But yeah, maybe that's not in the plan, but that would be my personal recommendation. I think that we could pull it off. I think that it's good, and personally, from looking at it, I think that it'd be the time. So my personal recommendation, it's just that. But yeah, I blabbered on for way too long. Next segment, I don't know if it's the outro, but we'll see. All right, yeah, we'll do one very last thing. Is that there's another episode of the 20-secondly object show. So yeah, it's 20 seconds. Might as well take a look at it. As a reminder for last time we had a sick as fuck hand drawn one, which was just cool. And we ended up having the eliminated character be Wikipedia logo. Somebody opened a beehive, which is unfortunately, which I mean got them to be safe at the cost of bees, and everybody else was up for elimination. But yeah, it was sick. It was sick as hell. Episode 7, Cake or Fake, featuring inanimate improv. Go. Alright, that is the episode. So, Bake a Cake is the challenge rated by Rosen. Now, gonna be fully honest with you, fully 100% honest here. I do not know who this is. I have actually never heard of you. Unfortunately, I've never heard of Rosen. However, their voice is good. I like the voice. It's a nice voice. It's a soothing, high pitched voice with a good microphone. So it's nice. But anyways, they proceed to rate the cakes. Red Button's cake is average and a 2 out of 10. Pepper Chip's cake, which is just a Minecraft cake, ends up getting a 9 out of 10. In the meantime, Closet, presumably they're having their brain screwed from bees in the last episode, just brought glass over, so that gets a 0 out of 10. Who's getting eliminated? I feel like it's probably Closet. Nope. Change my mind. Red Button. Red Button just hasn't done too much. I feel like it's time for them to go. And then we end up having that closety Pepper Chip final 2. That's probably final 2 of goats, you know. And Pepper Chip would win that majority of the time. Pepper Chip is just way too good at this. Pepper Chip is way too OP. But yeah, that is the 20-secondly object show episode. Good job to Rosen on the hosting. And arriving from a host to a host, I think he did pretty good. I feel like I had to say it one time. All right, that's all. Outro. Alright, and that will be all for today's episode of Object Catchup. A bit of a smaller episode today, by the fact of the matter that I didn't do that. This was actually kind of a rest day, to be honest. Like, I wanted to kind of get back into the swing of this, but it ended up being a little bit more of a rest day. As I ended up doing, focusing a little bit more on doing kind of like outside stuff while I also made sure to rest up, because to be honest, I don't know what it was about yesterday, but I slept like nothing. So yesterday I was so tired, so like I kind of gave my that additional rest period to kind of do it, so to not really go insane. But yeah, so that was that. It was a good day. However, I would say we covered majority of the things that I want to cover. I won't say we covered everything. There's a thing or another that I wish I could have covered today that I instead I need to cover in another episode. However, at the end of the day, you've always got to trust in Eternal the Second. All right, you got to put the trust in me. I've got it figured out. I got it figured out. If I don't take a look at an episode in one day, it's there on the list. I'll take a look at it the next day. It's not that big of a deal, right? And therefore we're looking good. All right, but yeah, For the shows that we watched today, we are all caught up. And now, see you next time. Goodbye!